just took the joy on another day at these braces of mine. They just took the joy out of everything I eat.
This nigga can't eat shit.
Shut up!
Jules, he just got braces. So basically, he can't necessarily eat hard food. So how? You scared yourself.
Duh, stupid bitch, like I didn't know that.
Oh, this is good enough, I guess. I only need 2 minutes.
Oh my god!
When that happened, I'm just sitting here like, what the hell? Hey! This is one thing I will enjoy.
Oh, you said something about applesauce earlier, and I don't eat applesauce.
Cool. Thanks.
If you want some chips or something, you can eat some.
Can I have some hot Cheetos? Oh.
The only way I'm eating hot Cheetos is if they're puffed.
Unless for what?
Unless they're the puffed
Oh, hot
kind
Cheeto
of hot
puffs?
Cheetos. Hot Cheeto puffs.
Oh, fuck.
Or
I'll get
Cheetos
it.
puffs or...
You sure?
You know, they just
'Cause
took the...
I don't like making messes in people's homes.
They just took the joy out of these braces of mine. They just took the joy out of everything I
eat
eat.
like 3 times a week.
This nigga can't eat shit. I'm a fucking asshole, bro. I would... because Jules, he just got braces. So, basically, he can't necessarily eat hard food. So, I said fuel, fuck. Basically, he can't eat hard food. So, I said it would be such a fucked up way if, like, somebody was to tease somebody with braces, be like, nah, you can't eat solid food. nah, you can't eat solid food, bitch.
Shut up! Don't answer my face. Like, don't you dare answer in my face. I'm not
That's a
saying
fucked up
shit.
way to insult somebody.
Hell.
This
Haha,
nigga
you can't eat solid food, bitch.
This nigga
Wow.
can't eat
Technically, I can eat anything. It's called a soft diet.
Haha, you can't eat hard shit, nigga. I'm dead.
Be quiet.
shit. Only shit you can eat is shit because it's a soft diet.
shit right now, so.
Usually she's too scared to do shit. Like, wow, I'm shocked. But the way she was looking at me, she was looking like, nigga, you got one more fucking time to do that shit, and I'm just going to. And she was sitting and I was standing, so she was either gonna punch me in my private area or in the stomach. So I was like, okay. So I was like, okay, let me stop before she do something she's gonna regret later.
Oh, she done took it from you.
Oh. If she can't scare me, she can't scare me. I'll come from my house. I'll come from my house.
How? You scared yourself.
Oh, that's the. I keep trying to get on the siren.
Yeah, speakers to the left, sirens to the right.
Duh, stupid bitch, like I didn't know that.
You kind of did. Well, damn. She didn't have to say it like that. I mean, it was obvious she didn't know how to work the shit because she went to the siren instead of the speaking part. So you didn't have to be all that though, shit. Because you went to the siren.
It was an accident. Like I played with this shit before.
Okay. It takes me this long. Oh, man. It takes me this long to take a shit. It's ridiculous. Oh, this is good enough, I guess. I only need 2 minutes. It's out of the I know the feeling of that, Nick. Hello, guys. So we have a dodgeball tournament coming up. It's about time. It feels like we haven't had a tournament. Well, we haven't had a tournament since last year, December. So I'm actually pretty happy because I made cuts to go. Usually that does not happen because they usually put their best players forward. But let's just see how it goes. It's in Akron, Ohio this Sunday, so let's just see how it goes. Whoa, Sandy's game's on the big screen. Did it win?
hour looking at my phone. Because I looked at the Find My iPhone, because I had someone look up where my iPhone was. I did, I looked everywhere. I couldn't find it. Oh yeah, I saw you go by. Apple in Portugal. Basically, you don't pay anything your first time. If you want to come back, you pay $15, and then you never. Depends on what you got here. Oh.
This match is intense. This match is intense. It's like the higher the percentage goes up, the higher you're likely to fall off the board and lose. So. Okay, so I decided to do a little leisure because there's a lot of stuff that's been happening lately with myself, so I decided just to let off some steam. So I went to the commerce just to go see what Smash Ultimate was all about. So right now it's time. Final battle. Oh man. Final battle. This really don't hurt you. Oh. Wow. I wonder if she was only good for their life. Whoa. So I ran into Sandros. He's a assistant captain for the dodgeball team. So I ran into him and we just decided to play. Right now he's playing against another person. Surprisingly, he did well than I did. Hell, I lost in both the winner and losers brackets. Like, how do you lose in the losers bracket? That's so ironic. So I lost in both brackets, but it was my first tournament, so I don't know what to expect. But now I do for next time. So right now, Sandros is winning, and I like it.
Oh. Yo. Nice.
Come and snow blast. You got a knob in the other room?
Oh.
When that happened, I'm just sitting here like, what the hell? So they're both on the verge of falling. And Sandros did the I think it's called the Super Smash or whatever that special move's called. He did that special move, and I could have swore that put that lady down all the way down to the ground and made it game. But for some reason he fell first. Like that's never happened before. I was like, wow. So I'm just sitting here like, he should have won. He did his ultimate move first. I felt like there was a glitch at the time, honestly.
Oh. Oh my god. Wow. Dang. Ooh. Nice work. Nice work. So cloud must be a thing for character, huh? It is. Taking a picture of that.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Julian, the main character and also a broadcast journalism major here at Michigan State University. I'm also a sophomore. So, Another Day at MSU is a proud sponsor of Black History Month, which celebrates African American legacies that left marks here on not only the United States, but also left marks all across the United States in a positive way. So for every episode from here on out in February, myself as well as any other person at Michigan State who's interested will give an insight on Black History Month, whether it's through spoken word, poetry, reciting any speech that they like from a famous person, or just personal reflection in any way, shape, or form. So if you're interested, please let us know in the description of this video or email my personal email, which is in the description of this video. So to start things off, I'll be starting things off with a famous person that everyone should know. I'll be doing Martin Luther King Jr., who was a civil rights activist in the 1950s and the 1960s. He led nonviolent protests and fought for the rights of not only African Americans, but for all people, both racially and economically, in any way, shape, or form. He hoped that America and the world would become a colorblind society where race would not impact a person's civil rights. He is considered the greatest orator or speaker of all times, and his speeches still inspire many people like myself to this very day. He grew up in Atlanta, Georgia on January 15th. He went to Booker T. Washington High School, where he was so smart, he skipped 2 grades in high school and went directly to college at the age of 15 at Morehouse. After getting his degree in sociology at Morehouse, he also got a divinity degree from Crozer Seminary, and then got his doctorate degree in theology from Boston University. His dad was a preacher who inspired Martin to go into ministry. He had a younger brother and an older sister, and later in 1953 married Coretta Scott, where they would have 4 children, including Yolanda, Martin, Dexter, and Bernice. So you may be asking yourselves, how did he get so involved in civil rights? Well, his first major civil rights action was leading the Montgomery bus boycott, where Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat for a white man. She was arrested and spent the night in jail that night. So as a result, he organized a boycott of the public transportation system in all of Montgomery. This lasted over a year. This was very tough because not only was he arrested for starting the boycott, his house was also bombed. No one was injured. In the end, he prevailed and segregation on the Montgomery buses came to an end. So what is he now most famous for? He is most famous for his I Have a Dream speech given in 1963 at the famous March on Washington, where 250,000 people attended this march in an effort to show importance of civil rights legislation.
Battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality, you have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama. Go back to South Carolina. Go back to Georgia. Go back to Louisiana. Go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities. Knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair. I say to you today, my friend, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners.
And it was this speech that addressed some of the issues that the march wanted to accomplish, like the end of segregation in public schools, protection from police brutality, and to get laws passed preventing discrimination in the workplace. However, police brutality is still a rising issue, as you got cases like the Trayvon Martin case, the Michael Brown case, and the Sandra Bland case, all of which died from police brutality, where the police officers were not indicted in the death of them. This is still a trending hashtag on Twitter. It's called Say Their Name. So if you're on Twitter, you might see that hashtag a lot in this month. So it was that speech that was the most famous speech in all of history, which made the March on Washington a great success. The Civil Rights Act passed a year later in 1964. But his good work came to an end as he was assassinated on April 14, 1968 in Memphis, Tennessee. He was standing on the balcony of his hotel where he was shot by James Earl Ray, who surprisingly died on my birthday, a year before my birthday, April 23rd, 1998. And here's just some interesting facts on Martin Luther King. He was the youngest person to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is a national and federal holiday where businesses, schools, and other federal government all observe this very day. Students have no class, faculty sometimes don't know how to teach anything either. There are over 730 streets named after Martin Luther King in the United States. For example, I live in Detroit, Michigan, and there is a Martin Luther King Drive. And we're here in East Lansing, there's a Martin Luther King Street. So yeah, he's very famous. And one of his main influencers was Mohandas Gandhi, who taught people how to protest in nonviolent matters. He was awarded the Congressional Medal, Gold Medal, and a Presidential Medal of Freedom for his work. However, the funny fact about it is he was not really originally named Martin Luther King. Instead, he was named Michael King. However, this was a mistake. He was supposed to be named after his father, Martin Luther, who was the leader of the Congregational Reformation movement. And to this day, people still listen to his work, and people still honor him, and people still magnify and idolize him because he set the mark for racial discrimination in the United States. And most of probably we wouldn't be able to attend college if it wasn't for him, or if it wasn't for any of our African American leaders. Like people like Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, and Martin Luther King, they did a great job in making sure that discrimination was partially gone from this world. It still happens, but it's not like back in the 1950s where we would potentially not be like at this university right now. And that is my little reflection of my favorite person from Black History Month. Again, if you would like to comment, if you would like to participate, comment and or email myself. And this has been the Black History Month presentation. I'm Julian and Sandros.